Hey, welcome back to Cool Classics. So I was just watching some Brady Bunch. Yeah, it's 2020 and I'm still watching. All right. And I was looking and I go, man, that one didn't have Bobby in it. And then I watched another one and it didn't have Cindy in it. And I'm like, no, wait a second. What's the deal here? So I dug into some background and I figured something out, man. Okay, the Brady Bunch is one of those shows that people assume was like a huge instant hit. But it really wasn't. It was just like a moderate success for the first couple of seasons, mainly because it was aired during prime time where the audiences tend to be older. So it wasn't until it entered like syndication and it got shown around the country like after school, and then it became like a smash sensation with the younger audiences. But at first it was just kind of targeted towards the older prime time, family viewing. But in the second season, creator Sherwood Schwartz had to come up with ways to keep profit margins up high enough to allow the show to continue to show profits so they could stay on the air and gain traction because, it wasn't a big hit at first. One of the first moves that he used was to start filming 2 episodes in the same amount of studio time as they were using to film 1 episode. So this meant that the cast and crew would come in and film back-to-back episodes, and then that way they didn't need to film on 2 separate occasions. They squeezed it all into one, which meant more work in the same amount of time, right? They ran over a few hours, but they didn't have an extra day of shooting. It worked out pretty good for them for a while, but they still needed more savings to guarantee that the show would survive for the entire season. So they came up with one more cost-cutting measure. Only 5 kids per episode from now on. That way they only had to pay 5 instead of 6. And so there was some more savings. The writers were told to leave 1 kid out of each script, but make sure that they cut a different kid each time to make it as fair as possible. So the cast and crew freaked out. They were like, uh-oh, something's happening here and it's not good. But Sherwood Schwartz came in, he told everyone, just hang in there. I'm not giving up on the show. We're going to pull this off. We're going to save some money and we're going to make it work. Just give it a chance. And so, everybody wanting to keep their job and wanting to continue on and have success, they all jumped on board and said, all right, we'll do what we got to do. So the goal is to grow the audience and get signed for a 3rd season. The new schedule is going to look like this. When we show up to film, we're going to shoot 2 episodes at the same time with the same kid missing in both episodes. We will do this 6 times, giving us 12 episodes with only 5 kids in each of them. But we're going to air them out of the order that we filmed them in, so that the audience never sees back-to-back episodes missing the same character or kid. This worked for the budget. It worked good for a while. The fans didn't notice the first couple weeks a big deal, but then people started voicing their complaints and concerns. Some people even were worried when a kid missed and were trying to call networks and say, hey, what happened? Are they healthy? And stuff. It's kind of hard to think that it was happening back then. But people, got on the phone and had to check on the kids, right? Now, the studio was happy with the budget being under control, but what really worried them was that every time an episode aired and the kid was missing, the fans of that kid would call, and it seemed like each kid had their own following. So it wasn't just the show itself. It was a group. Everybody was following their own character, had their favorites. Now, the big concern was it was week 6, and it's time to have Greg Brady not appear in an episode. Now, the studio knew out of all the 6 kids, Greg Brady was the most popular one at the time, and there was no way that would be accepted by the fan base. So they pulled the plug on the whole 5 kids at a time, and they went back to normal. Well, normal as in all 6 kids would be in each episode, and that way all the fans would be happy. But we're still going to go ahead and continue to film 2 episodes at one time and keep the budget somewhere under control. Now, with everything returning back to normal, the cast and crew felt a lot better. There was a lot of anxiety before because some of these kids and their parents were concerned that if the episode without them did better than the ones with them, that somehow they might be written off the show. Everybody felt like their jobs were on edge. And so now they're like, oh, cool. We're all valuable, right? We all have our fans, and the studio knows this. So they went ahead and continued on. By the end of season 2, the ratings had actually improved for the show, despite all the setbacks and the episodes that had the missing characters in them. This really impressed the studio, and they made an offer for a 3rd season. There you go. Now when you watch The Brady Bunch next time, you can pay attention and see if all 6 kids appear in the episode. If they don't, then it's from season 2, and you'll know why. If you enjoyed this video, hopefully you'll subscribe or leave a comment below and let me know. I've been watching a lot of these old shows that I grew up on, and I'll tell you what, I do have anxiety, and these are relaxing me more. Something about this older stuff that just puts you at ease.